Welcome to Section 5, Wrapping Up with Next Steps. In this section, we're going to take a look at building off of our example in Python. We'll also discuss next steps with Selenium WebDriver. And lastly, we'll wrap up with a quick overview of everything we've covered in this course, building off our example in Python. In this video, we're going to take a look at one extra layer of abstraction. We'll be creating page objects for our driver and login page classes that we created in the previous section. So let's get started. Alright, so let's pick up where we left off in the previous section. You should have your Chrome driver executable, the index.html file, your locators.py file, and then also the testlogin.py file that we used in the previous section. If you don't have them currently, you can get them from the code examples supplied with this course. Before we get started, in a separate terminal window, let's also go ahead and start up a simple HTTP server so we can serve index.html file that we'll be testing against. So great, we've got that up. Now, we're going to do something really quick. Let's start by creating a new directory called pages. And in pages, we want to create an __init___.py file. We want to create a browser.py file. And then we also want to create a login.py file. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to abstract away some repeatable actions that we're doing in both of our tests into these page object files. And I'll show you what I mean. So let's go ahead and open up pages/browser.py. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a simple class that encapsulates a lot of repeatable actions that we're doing in both of our tests. So we're going to start off and import WebDriver like we do normally. We'll say from Selenium, import WebDriver. Now, let's create a class called browser. And this class, we're going to go ahead and create the base URL, which is http://localhost port 8000. And we're going to create some options here for WebDriver. So let's say WebDriver.Chrome options. And we're going to say ops.add experimental options. We're going to say detach true. Now, when we go ahead and instantiate our instance of Chrome driver, like we've seen here, we're actually going to go ahead and pass these options as well. So let's see here. We'll say Chrome options equal ops. Great. Now let's go ahead and create a wrapper over our self.driver.find element. And we'll pass a locator here as an argument. Great. And let's go ahead and also add a quit method, just like you would do on the driver itself. And let's go ahead and also add a visit method. And we'll say location equal. All right, great. So what you see here is a simple browser class that we've abstracted away some common details that we're using in our test into its own class. And I'll show you how we intend to use this in just a second here. So let's go ahead and open up pages/login.py. And in this page, let's go ahead and start off by importing the file that we just created. So from pages.browser, import browser. Let's also say from Selenium, import WebDriver, and from locators, import star. And let's also import time here because I imagine we'll be using it. So let's go ahead and create a class called login page. We'll say browser. We're going to pass it that browser class that we created just a few seconds ago. And let's go ahead and create an init, and we'll say self.login equals /. And this just signifies that our login page shows up at this route, which is the home route. Now let's also go ahead and create a method here called login as, let's say self, username, password. Now, let's see here. So we're logging in both of our test cases. So the repeatable actions are we visit the login page, we locate the username field, the password field, and the submit button. We send keys to the username and password field. Then we click the button and we sleep for 2 seconds. So let's go ahead and write this all out here. And we'll say username field equals self dot find element. So this find element is actually implemented on the browser's page, which is a wrapper around the driver. So we'll see what I'm talking about in just a second here, but I'm noticing that we're going to have a naming conflict. Right now with our locators, our login page locators are called login page, and our current class is called login page. So this might actually get a little bit confusing, so let's open up our locators file and rename our locators class real quick. So locators.py. Now once we're in locators.py, let's rename both of these classes to have the word locators at the end of the class name. So by doing this, we're going to avoid a name collision there. So now we have login page locators and create account page locators. So that should be good for now. Let's go ahead, save this and close it and go back to our pages/login.py file. So back in our pages/login.py file, we are going to add our locators here. So we'll say login page locators.username field. And let's find password field, self.find element, login page locators.password field. Now we have the submit button. We're going to say self.find element, login page locators.submit button. And we're going to say username field.send keys, and we're going to pass the username argument that we're passing into this function, and then we're going to do the same here on the password field. We're going to do send keys password argument, and once we've sent the keys, we're going to say submit button dot click, and let's just do time.sleep too for good measure. Great. So another thing we do is we check the auth message after each test case, or after we try and log in with different sets of credentials. So let's go ahead and also create a method here called get auth message. And this is going to be real easy. We're just going to actually go ahead and return find element. We'll do login page locators dot message. Great. And another thing we'll probably want to do here is we'll want to add a method to click on that register or create account link. So let's see here. We'll move this. We'll say self.find element login page locators dot create account link. And then, yeah, we say a create account link dot click, and we'll go ahead and do time.sleep 2 again. And the reason we're just doing these time.sleeps is just so we can visually verify that the behavior that we're expecting is taking place. And lastly, when we go to a new page, we want to check the page header. So let's just go ahead and create a simple method here called get page header, say self, and yeah, this one will be simple, just like get auth message. It will be just returning self.find element, and this time we'll use the create account page locators.header. Great. So we went ahead and created a login page object, which allows us to essentially encapsulate a lot of repeatable actions, properties, web elements, a lot of the technical lower level stuff that isn't necessarily important for our tests. So let's go ahead and remove this stuff and use this new API that we created in our test login file. So now that we're in the test_login file, we have a lot of code we can clean up here. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm already seeing right off the bat we have self.browser.get showing up at the beginning of both these tests. We also have all this boilerplate for find element, where we're locating and submitting our credentials, and a couple other things here. We can easily clean this up now by doing a couple of things. So up here at the top, let's start with our imports. So we have from Selenium import WebDriver. That's good. And we don't necessarily need our locators anymore, so let's remove that. And we'll say from pages.login import login page. And we won't need time. And yeah, that's a duplicate. And great. So let's go ahead and get rid of this setup method. And let's start on our test user login, the happy path login success story. So let's see, we could probably start by getting rid of all of this here. And let's start by saying self.login page equal login page. So we are creating an instance of our login page object class that we just created. And for this particular test, we're going to say our user is registered user, and the password is 1234. Now we're going to say self.login page.login as. We're going to pass user and password. So that will log us in. And the next thing we want to get rid of is these two methods down, or these two lines right here. And we can do that easily by using self.login page.get auth message. And we're going to go ahead and store the results of that in welcome message. So that will return the welcome message web element. And then we go ahead and we do self.assert in. We make sure welcome back is in the welcome messages text. So we just went ahead and removed a bunch of code from that test case there. And let's go ahead and do the same with our test login fail. So we can do the same. We can start by getting rid of a bunch of this code here. And we'll start, well, let's actually go ahead and copy what we did up here. Only this time, our user is going to be other user, and their password, or at least the password they think they have, is ASDF. So they're going to try and log in. That's not going to work. And then we want to get the message, so we do login page. And, well, we're not going to use the locator. We're going to do login page dot get auth message. We want to make sure that account not found is in the messages text. And then from there, we want to go ahead and click on the create account link and then verify that we're on the create account page. And we already wrote methods to do both of those in our login page object class. So let's go ahead and do that here. We're going to say self.login page.click register link. And then after that, we're going to say header equals self.login page.get page header. And then we can delete a bunch of these lines, and then we assert that create an account is in the header elements text property. So let's go ahead, clean this up just a little bit here, and save everything. And let's go ahead and make sure that this works. So we will say nose tests, and it looks like we're having an error. So what's going on here? So it looks like it doesn't like how we did add experimental options in our browser page object on line 8. So let's go ahead and fix that. In pages, browser.py, in line 8, it should be experimental option, not options. So let's go ahead and save. And let's try and run our tests again with nose tests. Yes, and another error in there as well with how I was pointing to the Chrome driver executable. So we'll save and let's run our nose tests again. And another error in our actual test case on line, let's see here, line 19. So let's go into test login.py, and that should be an equal sign, same as below. All right, let's try nose tests. It's opened up Chrome driver and is running our tests. Great, and we ran 2 tests in 10 seconds and everything is okay.